So today we're going to talk about chores, getting kids to do chores, what chores should kids do, what chores my kids do in my house, and how I teach my kids chores, how I reward for chores, and how we do chore time every day to keep my house with 6 kids relatively clean. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sinead. I am the creator of thesimplemama.com, and my website, like here on YouTube, focuses on motherhood, child training, and homeschooling. And today, again, we're going to talk about chores. And I think I get a lot of questions on how I manage my home with so many kids, with homeschooling, and all those things. And while I do have my ups and downs when it comes to how clean my house is, I'm currently, I would say, in a down since I have a 4-month-old baby. But still, it's at a place where it's clean most of the time. It's not a filthy mess and everyone hates living in it. It's relatively clean. It just gets untidy, a lot, because there's a lot of things going on in my home, and because I'm still at the point of sitting down and breastfeeding and all that kind of thing. And at night, I'm too tired to do things that I used to, like mop floors and do all that. So, yeah, just stressing that if you have a lot of children, that there's going to be seasons in your life when your house is really clean and beautiful, and seasons when it is not, and you just have to embrace the season and work towards working yourself out of it as your circumstances change. So that's where I'm at now. All right, so let's talk about why I have chores in my house, why I institute a chore time. I think it's because I like a clean home, and it does help me. Like, the most selfish reason is it gets my house clean without me doing all the cleaning. And that is usually when people say, oh, we don't get our kids to do chores, that's usually why. They say, this is my home, this is my choice to live this way, why should they have to clean up? For me, I think that's quite ridiculous, because if you live in the human world, then you have to be self-sufficient to a degree. You have to know how to clean up after yourself. And if you don't know those things, it's very visible. People know that you are untidy, you're dirty. You may also not know how to look after yourself. Starting off with just daily chores when your kids are young sets them up for so many healthy and, good practices for the rest of their life, that I think that it should just be a standard that all people have their kids doing some kind of chores, even if it's just self-sufficiency, even if it's just teaching them how to clean up after themselves, keep themselves clean and healthy, and just keep their area of the home, like their bedroom and that, clean. So I want to start with, if you are someone who's new to chores, or you were trying to create a chore time in your house and it wasn't sticking, it wasn't functional, your kids weren't taking part, I want to give you some tips on how to create chore time, set the standard, set the rewards, and then set the whole family dynamic around chores. Because the earlier you start with your kids, the more normal it would be. My kids just know once they get to the age of 4 or 5, they're involved in chore time. And we do it multiple times a day for short periods. We don't just do one long chunk in the day, and we don't do a chore day, and we don't really take any days off, because if my kids take days off, then the house gets really messy. If I'm taking off a day as well, and then we just have to do a whole lot more work the next day. So it's better just to be consistent every day. From the ages of, say, 3 to 4 is when I begin with simple self-sufficient practices, like putting their shoes away, teaching them how to brush their own teeth and clean their toothbrush and put it back, teaching them how to sort of roughly fold their pajamas and put them under pillows. They can help set the table, help put their plate in the sink, they can help pick up their toys, just things like that. When they're at that age, it's really time consuming to teach them chores, and pretty much from the ages of 3 to 6 or 7, teaching your kids a new skill when it comes to chore time is time consuming. And I think that that's why a lot of people don't do it, because it really is easier for me to get in there and clean up myself. It's quicker, I get a nicer job done, it's easier mentally, easier physically. Like, why wouldn't you choose that? And I have taken that path, but I do think that is a lazier path, because if you put in the consistency and the effort to teach your kids a skill, then they can do it for you. So I think that it's better to do it that way. So that's the hard part with chores. Expect that when you teach your 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old new small skills, that the way they're going to really keep these skills is by repetition and you really showing them step by step, teaching them a step by step things like getting ready for bed, and you're going to put your pajamas on, brush your teeth, wash your face, wash your hands. Then that needs to be something that you're taking them through at the end of the day, and you'll have to do that every day for a week or two before you can sort of say to them, go and get ready for bed. And then the next step, once they can get ready for bed, it's then cleaning up after themselves. So once you teach them those simple steps, then you can teach them how to clean up after themselves as well, like making sure that the clothes they wore that day are in the wash basket or folded up to wear tomorrow, making sure that the basins are clean when they finish using them, make sure the toothbrush is back where it goes, and those things, and you keep on adding to those skills. So usually the first job that I have my kids do is learn to make their bed, and the second one is to learn how to do the dining room, because that's just like a real method way where you put the dishes away, you put the knives and forks away, you wipe the table, you wipe the chairs, and we vacuum the floors. And I teach my kids, once my kids get to the age of 5, that's when they get put onto that job. And at first it is really hard to teach, and it takes a lot of repetition, a lot of consistency, a lot of, okay, come back here, you didn't do this thing properly and that properly. And this brings me on to talking about standards. What standards do you set for your children when they begin chore time? Standards that you set for yourself when it comes to your children and their chores really does depend on your standards. But I do think that you should have your children complete a job to the same level that you would. And that can seem a little bit wild at first if you're talking about a 5-year-old. It is gradual. I wouldn't say obviously the first time they complete a job is going to be as good as what you would do it. Make them feel good for trying, and then get them to try a little harder the next time they do the job. So with all my children, if I get them to clean the dining room, if I get them to clean the kitchen, if I get them to clean the lounge room, the living areas, the bathroom, the toilet, they do the job, say that I was. So when I walk in there, it's clean, it's shiny, it's dry, it's been mopped, it smells nice, everything's been refilled, the towels are folded or in their place. It looks just like I had stepped in there and cleaned that room. Because for me, it isn't functional to have children doing chores, but then to have this sort of child standard that doesn't quite meet my standard. So I'm constantly having to go around and tidy up after them. I also find that if you don't teach them a standard, and I have done this before, they kind of get worse and worse and worse. If you just say, oh well, he forgot to pick up this and he didn't wipe down the table properly, and there's still a cup here, and the kitchen still has dishes in the sink, and the kitchen still has crumbs all over the benches. Well, if you don't say anything and just go, oh, but he's only 10, that's fine, he's just going to do that all the time, because they're more than capable of coming back if you were to tell them and say, hey, there's crumbs all over here, this floor hasn't been swept, there's dishes still in the sink, like, you know this is not a clean kitchen. If you don't say anything, they're going to go, oh, that was fine, and that will be your new normal. If you repeat and you are consistent and you give praise where praise is due, and you gently bring them back to, you know, do the job again, and they will work to your standard. And that's beneficial. Not only does it give them a really good work ethic when they're adults, so that when a boss of theirs gives them a job to do, they are going to do it to the absolute best of their ability and not what they can get away with. And it also gives you a clean home, a home where you can walk through rooms that you have asked your children to clean, and they are clean to a beautiful standard that is nice to be in. And it's not this standard where you look around and you know that you have to spend 10 minutes perfecting on their cleaning with everything they do. So how I do chore time in my house. I do it 2 ways. So at the moment, when I have less time, I'm currently sitting in a relatively untidy house. It does need a fair bit of work. I have just chosen the one little area that I quickly tidied before I did this video, because it's actually mid-morning, not a time when I usually would create a video. It's actually usually the time when we would have finished our first daily cleanup and started school. But I haven't been on here for weeks, if you know who I am and you follow me, and I just thought I have to just sit down now when the baby's sleeping and get it done. What I will do today, for example, because I'm a little bit behind schedule, because I haven't been sleeping properly, I will do a 40-minute clean. So me and my kids will all start in an area. I have 1, 2, 3 cleaners with me, so there's 4 of us all together. We can all clean to my standard, except for the youngest. He still needs a lot of direction. We will work our way for as far as we can get, cleaning as quickly as we can in 40 minutes. We get music on real loud, we make it fun, and I will say, hey, when we finish this, we're gonna sit down at the table and we're gonna have a little treat or something like that. That makes the cleaning environment nicer. It makes it more of a team effort. And what it also means is that I can sort of follow through behind the kids. And if I'm really feeling overwhelmed, what I love to do is to just perfect things like cleaning windows, dusting, organizing little corners of things where I store stuff so that it looks nice. I don't like to have a house that's just tidy when I'm feeling really overwhelmed, which I know isn't always sustainable. But for me in my life, because I have kids doing chores, I can afford to take the time to do those things in certain areas of my house so that I feel put together. So that's what I'm going to do today. Another style of chores that we usually do is where I just give children jobs to do in the morning after breakfast and they do it, and then I check their work. On days and in the season that I'm in now with a young baby, I don't have the mental capacity to sit down and give them different jobs each day. So let's just do the same jobs every day. And what that means is that they get really good at those jobs and I don't have to go back and correct them. So the child who was on the bathroom and toilet, they do a really good job. If I'm not feeling so mentally strained, or if I'm just feeling physically better, I will take the time to make little chore lists and they will work through that during the day. My chore time usually happens 2 to 3 times a day, but very short. So we will do a half an hour cleanup in the morning. That's probably the longest one. Then we will do, maybe I'll get them to do 1 or 2 small jobs before dinner is served. So maybe taking the washing off the line for me, or just clearing the dining room of things that may have accumulated during the day. And then we end the day after around a 40-minute clean with a clean home, and then we have some quiet time reading books before bed. So that's our routine when it comes to chores. On Saturdays, I do take it easier, so we will still clean our eating areas, but the children and I really do take a day off, and we prepare for this by me having a more full-on cleaning day on Fridays. Not the kids, they still have their normal chore routine, but on Fridays I will take the time to deep clean areas, to clean the bathrooms, to clean bathroom windows, and to be soaking toilets in hot water and vinegar and soap, and really just doing all that kind of stuff that needs to be done when you have a large family. That's usually my Friday. So that by the time I have the Saturday, the house is really clean and we can all just take it easy and just keep gentle tidying, and we all enjoy that, slow day off cleaning. So that leads me to rewards. What do I reward my kids with? Now, when it comes to normal chores, like daily chores that we do, they don't get rewards. They're not given money. I don't reward for that. That is what they do because they live in a home. They get food made for them. They have a roof over their heads. They have, everything they need and most of the things they want. That's what they do. That's them helping in a family environment, and that's them understanding that they are getting set up for adult life, which is a whole lot harder than just doing a couple of chores when you're a kid. So that's my stance. Now, my kids do have bank accounts and we do deposit money into their bank accounts, but their bank accounts are more for saving. So it's not something where they're just spending their money on whatever they want every week. They also do earn some money, so they do extra jobs for me. So if they want to help in the garden, if they want to clean the yard, if they want to do things like clean skirting boards or clean all the windows for me, that is a job where I'll go, hey, yeah, you can do that and I'll give you $10. So that is something that we do. That's where they earn money. What I do have, however, is the penny reward system. So I did not come up with this system. This system is from Abby. Her Instagram handle is M is for Mama, and I've been following her for quite a while now, and she mentioned the penny reward system. And what this system essentially is using pennies, or in my case, just any coins I had lying around, and I reward my kids for certain activities, including jobs well done, jobs without having been told to, helping others, being kind, kind speech, serving others before yourself, just a whole range of actions that my kids can do. Pennies are essentially tokens for things that we do during the week, like movie night, screen time on Sundays, you know, special little treats as well, like going out for mum for a milkshake and things like that. They can cash in their pennies. So that has been a pretty good system for us, especially since we have made a lot more rules regarding screen time and things like that. So that is something that I will continue. And so that is the only real reward that they see for their chores. And again, I don't put a penny in the jar when a chore is complete every day. I put pennies in the jar when I think, when I think that child has, you know, done something without being told to, who has helped others, who is being kind, who shares, you know, just things that I will notice during the day and go, oh, that child deserves a penny. And if the child asks for a penny, I actually won't give it. The children really don't know when I'm putting pennies in and out of their jars. Again, I will take pennies out of their jars if they have, you know, if they have rude speech and bad speech, if they refuse to help the other, if I ask them to do something and they complain. And again, I also have that rule where if I ask a child to do a job, like, can you go and get the washing off the line for me, and they complain, I immediately add another task to it. So when you finish that, you can come inside and you can go and clean the toilet. And if they complain even more, then I add another job to that and I say, well, you can mop the bathroom. And it just keeps going and going until they stop complaining. And I used to do that, I think I did that maybe 2 or 3 times when they first started that, and I never have had to again. Another thing too is if my children come to me and say that they're bored, I will just get them to clean the toilet. So there's only one boy who actually genuinely takes that, goes, oh, okay. That's my youngest. I'll say it to Charlie, he's 6. He says, I'm bored. And I'll be like, go and clean the toilet then. He's like, all right. I'm like, okay, then go. That's better then. But that's my rule. If you come to me and constantly say, I'm bored and they want entertainment, I'll just give them a chore to do. And they very quickly find something else to do. So that's very effective too. I think I've mentioned that a few times in my blog and in my videos. All right, so if I was to mention some things that I think you shouldn't do when it comes to chore time in your house, I would say don't bribe your kids. This is a big one. Don't start the whole, oh, well, if you do that, I'll give you this money, or I'll let you do this, and the children starts to bargain with the bribery. I think once you start bribing, then you're going to probably allow bargaining, and then you're in trouble, because as your kids get older, those bargains and that bribery is going to get more and more and more until it's out of control, and suddenly your kid is cleaning your kitchen for $70 or for 4 hours on screens, or it's going to get too much. Don't allow a basic chore routine in your home to become a bargaining chip for your kids. If you choose to give pocket money and to give rewards, that's fine. I think that's perfectly healthy. If you open that door, it's going to be very hard to close again if you go, hey, this isn't working. So don't open it. Don't start bribery and bargaining with your children for chore time. So that is the things that I would definitely suggest. If you're after anything else regarding chores, I have a free download in my blog schedule for kids post, which I think would be helpful if you want to try and download that. I also have a post on creating good work ethic in kids with chore time. I hope this video was helpful. So that's it for me for now. If you like this video, then hit the like button. It really helps me in the YouTube algorithm. And until next time, bye.